say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Good evening, everyone. Chris McDonald with the Mac Miles broadcast. We are very excited tonight. She's not a new friend to me. She's not a new guest, but she's a new guest to you folks because she's never been on our show before. But it's good to see my buddy Bianca Garcia. And before I introduce her, I have to confess something. We were just running show ideas beyond back and forth to each other about our new camaraderie and our new dual show. And she came up with Cry and Buy. And I will leave that alone because I'm here from the hills of East Tennessee where those kind of...
It's a cry-by show.
Cry and Buy. It's good to see you tonight. Good to have Bianca Garcia. Let me just introduce her first before I get myself in trouble. Bianca Garcia, Mega, Info.TV host, and just a dear friend and a comrade and a colleague. It's good to see you, buddy. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Chris. Thanks for having me on, inviting me on. Hi to everybody. Listen, it's awesome when you get to go and you get to talk to different audiences, and so they get to know who you are, what you're doing. It's awareness. I'm about awareness. You know, we got to wake up. We got communities all over the place. Everybody has different audiences, and it's good that, you know, it's just spreads awareness and maybe educate a couple people on the way, huh?
That's right, Bianca. It really is, hon. And look, you're doing a great job at what you're doing. And we worked together at another network previously, but we are branching out in some other things together too. And you're part of Latino for Trump group. You all have visited the president recently, and you're also part of Mega Info.TV, and there's just a lot of things going on. I want to just jump off the bridge here a little bit with you and let you talk about your group and just tell everybody about what Latino for Trump is, and you talk about your recent visit, because you all had a big meeting with the president here just a week or so ago, and major stuff came out of that. And I will confess, I was bugging her to get me a selfie with the president. No cigar, but I did try. She said, Bianca was like, do you want me to get kicked out of here? Come on, would you leave me alone and stop telling me pictures with the president, please?
Listen, Secret Service is on us. They're watching us. They're watching us like hawks. They're like,
I bet.
Turn that off. No, they were really good to us. No, thanks, Chris. So just a quick background so people kind of know how I got to where I'm at. You know, during the presidential campaign here in Texas, as you know, during the presidential campaign, there was no Hispanics who supported President Trump. And so there was two other Christian women that you know, we kind of met at the rally here. I was, you know, let me tell you, I was a first one in line at the rally here in Houston, out up in the Woodlands. So it was really crazy because, yeah, Hispanics didn't care for him or weren't going to vote for him, but yet I was the first in line out of 20-something thousand people. Right. So me and my family. And we met so many great people there. But I met 2 Christian women, and we thought, and they were Hispanic, and we said, we've got to do something. We've got to, no one is helping us. There's, at the time, if you remember, that even the GOP, the main Republicans who've been around, rhinos or whatever, they weren't even supporting him.
That's right.
He wasn't liked. So he wasn't being, everybody thought it was a joke. Like, this guy's a joke. And so we said, we've got to do something. So we did. We got involved. We put together a Latino Trump coalition, went to the Republican headquarters, and they were having a meeting, and we told them, hey, we're going to do this. And we just got overwhelmingly support from the Republican women, groups here in the Houston area. And so they printed signs for us. I believe they printed like 2,000 Latinos for Trump signs for us. Okay. That was awesome. And believe it or not, we started to do, what we did first is, because the only way that we could hear a message, or we're getting a message, because there was nowhere on mainstream media. So what we did is we were connecting with people across the nation that were on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, whatever it was, social media. So what I did is, me and my other friend, co-founder, we flew out to Miami, because in Miami, the Cubans knew what they were doing. Okay. They were like protesting, marching. They were like full blown out for Trump. So we went out, we learned from them, what are they doing? How do they do it? And we brought it back to Texas. So we started to do, kind of like the pop-up flag waving, events. And we get all a bunch of people, we go to a corner somewhere or street somewhere, very populated area. And we'd stand there with our American flags, Texas flag, Trump flags. We were handing signs out. We were, you'd be surprised. There was people pulling over, and oh my God, we met so many people, Chris. So they're still friends this day. They're still friends. We've become a family. We met so many people just doing that. And it was really, it still was, we'd get water bottles thrown at us, or cursed at, or a finger stuck at us out the window, but we didn't care. We were having a blast. We were patriots. We didn't care. We had a blast. So anyhow, fast forward over, that was a Latino Trump coalition. When he won, we were like wondering, what do we do now? What do we do?
Right.
So what we did is we joined forces with a whole bunch of other, obviously conservative Hispanic, which was Latinos for Trump, was one of the bigger ones that had the biggest audience. And so what we did is, we kind of collated together and became, we said, okay, instead of having all these groups, why don't we just, kind of merge and do our thing. And so that's how I became, associated with Latinos for Trump. I'm now the vice president of the national organization. We are a C3 out of California, but we also have a C4 here out of Texas. I have now filed. We are actually a PAC. We have a federal PAC, and we have a state PAC in Texas. So I've done all that. With getting us situated so that we are official. Okay. So we've got a huge following. That's what we've been doing. It's getting ourselves, not just some group out there that's just doing whatever, but we've been really polishing up. We build a board of directors. We have state directors. We've got pages, that we put on Facebook, and we were identifying leaders in other states, and we are empowering them to speak out and use our pages and become, and get involved with us, do voter drives. You'd be surprised at how many Latinos for Trump ran for office. A lot of our Latinos for Trump, just said, hey, they've been running for Congress, council, a school board, sheriffs. You name it, they're out there, they're running for office. It's exciting to see. There was a big movement. They're excited about the new administration. And, so it's really good when you can say that you started from zero, and then, yes, you're at the White House, all of a sudden, listening to the president address you, talking about all the great things that he's done for our communities. I went last year, and let me tell you, last year, there was about 50 people there, maybe 75, maybe, give and take. I think it was a lot of old guard, a lot of Hispanic old guard, maybe, give and take. And it was a great event. But afterwards, and I won't tell you where I went, but I went to a meeting afterwards, and you can imagine it was a very influential meeting. And these Hispanics that have been around for a while, that were truly Trump supporters, went and had a like a bitching session. Sorry, hate to tell you that, but that's what they were doing. They were upset, and they said, there's a bunch of never Trumpers in the White House.
Sure.
Why did they get invited? They didn't support this president. Why are they invited? And so this whole conversation now is holding new to the game, okay? And mind you, I just gotten hired on, actually in November after election, was it Thanksgiving week? I got hired on by the Republican Party of Texas. I became the Hispanic Engagement Director for the whole state. So mind you, we're at the White House and these people are, complaining, and they're, these anti-Trumpers apparently are in the White House and they're all mad. So anyway, the influential person says, that these Hispanics say, if you want our help in the future, this is going to stop, or do not call us to gain entry into our communities. And I thought, holy moly, I kept my mouth shut because I had no idea. I'm like, I'm a brand new player. I know nothing. I just got involved. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and just listen. So anyhow, that all happened. I found that, I said, wow, these people, obviously came in here and they were upset. And the influencer, the main guy where we were at, said to them, well, the thing is that a lot of these people cleaned up their Facebook and their social media, so we didn't know they were never Trumpers.
Right.
We didn't know they cleaned up their social media. Well, this year, let me tell you, I was very happy. This year we went, there's definitely way over 120, 30, 40, 50 people there. I mean, we had so many Hispanics from all over the country representing their states, their communities. We had ambassadors. Let me tell you one of the best things, I think, for me in that room compared to last year. Last year we had Jovita, who is a U.S. treasurer,
right,
in Carranza. So she was the only person there that I knew was in a position. This year we had all of the Latino ambassadors, from other countries, consulates. We had, now there's the Department of Labor, Acosta, Secretary Acosta. We had Jovita there. We had, from our state of Texas, we had our Supreme Court Justice, Ava Guzman, there. And so I kind of hung out with her because, I know her from Texas. So anyway, we had a lot of Texas people there. And it was amazing to see. And I asked a specific person that was there last year that obviously, is in a position. And I said, why is there so many new faces? And they said, well, the White House has been working really hard to identify, and the leaders, and also in opening it up to new leadership, people who are going to go out there, do work, represent, become surrogates or speak out, or they're influencing their communities. They're getting our message out. They're people who, and they're trying to broaden and expand. And I thought, that's important, Chris. It's important because they could have just shut the doors.
Right.
And they didn't. They really paid attention. That tells me that they really paid attention, that Hispanics need to be heard too. And that we need to have a place at the table like anybody else. And not because we're Hispanic, but because we are Americans.
Amen.
We're Americans like everybody else. We just shade it a little different. But that shade needs to be represented, at these events and at these, we need to be represented as well. We don't want to get left behind. And so it was really important to me. And the one really big thing too that I think, that I found just absolutely astonishing, just marvelous actually, is one of our own here in Houston, Texas, one of our own business, members was recognized by President Trump.
Awesome.
So he got to speak, at this event. And his name is Joel Garza. Last year, he owned 37, we call them Sonic drive-ins. And he, since the tax cuts, he was able to open up 3 new branches of Sonics. These are little restaurants. And he's hired 150 more employees because of Trump's, economic policies. So to me, highlighting someone where I come from was huge.
Right.
It means the president is paying attention. It means his administration is paying attention, and that they actually, are very supportive that we are also at an all-time low unemployment, and that we are benefiting from this administration and all of its policies, which is huge. At the end of the day, Hispanics really, we're hardworking people. I've said it all along from the very get-go, hardworking people. All these people that come from other countries and are here, a big mass of them are hardworking people, but we have a bunch of bad ones as well. But naturally, it's the hard work ethic, And so at the end of the day, as long as you can put, I always say, milk on the table and pay your light bill, and feed your kids, and that they're getting a better education. At the end of the day, if all your bills are paid, you really don't care about all the mess, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you know that you're in good health, your kids are good, they're getting a good education, there's food on the table, there's money in your pocket. And so that is what Hispanics across the nation, as I saw this invite list at the White House expand, it tells me that he is reaching out and his policies are making a difference. And, I am really passionate about educating and spreading awareness. So, Chris, for me, it is important, and I've said this, it's a challenge for me. I would love to see a 60% vote for him in 2020 of Hispanics.
Absolutely.
Everybody was like, he's going to get 8%. He's going to get 10%. He ended up with 29%. And I really believe that it's because groups like ours, Latinos for Trump, Cubans for Trump, Hispanic Americans for Trump. There were so many groups, Latino Trump. There was Latinas with Trump, Latinos for Trump, Latinos with Trump. There were so many groups. But because a lot of us hit that ground, and we even if we were attacked and, told crazy, ugly stuff, we still were at it. We still kept with a message. We still pushed forward. And I think that's why he ended up with, close to 30% of the vote. But I tell you what, had we been allowed, if our conservative Hispanics had been given a platform, okay, just on national level, in whether it was mainstream media, one of my biggest complaints to the Trump campaign, I felt like they knew me. I used to call Trump Tower, and actually, no, Chris, this is funny. You'll get a laugh from this, but they actually hired a Hispanic director at the Trump Tower because I called up there so much. Okay, that they went and pulled this girl out of the data department, and she told me, she said they opened the door. They said, does anyone speak Spanish in here? And she said, I do. And she said, they said, come with us. And they took her into a room. They go, you've been promoted. Here you go. Call this guy and call this girl. So Juan Fiol out in Florida was doing the same thing I was. He was calling up there every time. I kept calling up there. And the biggest thing that was very frustrating to me is I was like, just give me, I don't need to work for y'all. I just need y'all to give me some info so that I'm not giving wrong information to our communities. I don't want to just assume that I know. I want to know. So I just want you to give me something. Just give me something. They wouldn't give me anything. So, I kept telling them, I need something in Spanish. Just draft me something. Send it to me. We'll print them out. We'll get them printed out. Do something. So this girl was laughing because she got promoted because I called up there so much to complain, because they would say, you need to call the state director, and they'd give me the number. And no offense, Chris, no offense. It's always a white person.
Yeah.
Who didn't understand what I was trying. They weren't going to be able to help me help my community. So I'm like, quit. That was my final thing. When I called up to Trump Tower, I said, stop sending me to the white person. They don't understand Spanish. They can't speak Spanish, can't write Spanish. They wouldn't even know how to communicate with the Hispanic community that I'm trying to reach. Because some of them, even though they do speak English, most of them do, they understand it, but their comfort is the Spanish. So if I can make sure that I message in Spanish, then we're going to do good, right? We can reach a little bit more. And it's about embracing the culture. It's about embracing them. And that's what it was about. And I just want to make sure that we were relating the right information. So anyway, that all happened. But it was really, really funny how, but yeah, no, that Trump Tower, yeah, they began to know my name, even though I didn't work for them or really was associated. But one of my biggest complaints, Chris, was that if you remember correctly, a lot of Trump was with, I believe, Diamond and Silk and
Right.
the other Lynn Patton. They had that bus and they were driving up and down East Coast from Miami all the way up to New York. They were visiting
Right.
towns, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember, there was never a Hispanic girl on that bus. No Latina.
Good point.
Okay. No,
Good point.
they needed to have a Cuban, a Hispanic, and a Mexican American. Okay. Because we're not all the same. They could have had a Venezuela. I don't care. They needed to add some flavor, because when you get off that bus and those women were being received and the media was there was no one to take on the Spanish media.
That's right. That's a good point.
No way.
Yeah.
And yeah. So no. So I'll wrap it up here. But we could. My point is that for the 2016 election, had we been given the opportunity to to represent at a bigger level in some form or fashion, we could have increased that vote higher than that 29-30%. That's my point. That's what it ends up, and so for me, that's important. That's my goal. I want to double. I want to see him get 60% of the Hispanic vote in 2020. That's what I want to see. That's my dream.
I don't think that's too far-fetched, and I'm glad you brought up the vote, because I'm curious about something. What was it about President Trump at the beginning? And I know, look, I'm a realist here, and I know the media is not fair brokers. I know they've never been fair brokers. They never will be fair brokers. And they have portrayed President Trump to the Hispanic community as being racist and being bigoted because of the wall, because him wanting a very, I consider it what we as conservatives consider the legal border protections of our country, that it's not extreme to want to protect your southern border. That's not an extreme view. They have portrayed that as extreme. In other words, because President Trump just wants to enforce the law and keep those that are illegally out of our country, that has been portrayed to the Hispanic community as being a bad thing. I believe, and I want to get your opinion about this, I believe that the hardworking families you just mentioned, deep down in their heart, they respect that. They want that too. It's not that the Hispanics in general are upset about the fact that President Trump wants to enforce border law and security, because you know something, Bianca, when they bring those drugs across that border, they bring this sex trafficking and they bring this child trafficking and the murder and the rape and the torture. The people that do those things, they don't ask for an identity card of the families that they're doing it to. They want everybody. That is an American problem, not just, again, like you said, it's not a Hispanic problem or a white problem or a black problem or anybody else's problem. It's everybody's problem. And there's a lot of people in the Hispanic community hurt by that. I would argue that if you got down to the truth and you've got your hand on this pulse more than I probably would ever do where I'm sitting here in East Tennessee, but just the friends I've got here, Bianca, they tell me to a person, they say, look, don't believe the media crap. People in the Hispanic community love our president. They respect the fact that he's trying to bring a little bit of sanity back to the southern border and back to our legal system when it comes to this illegal alien stuff.
Right. Well, this is what happened, is that the people who got upset about his remarks or this border wall and all this other stuff were really the illegals, the bad ones, because they knew that obviously this was going to, it was going to end their crap. Or at least, do that. And the media did a really good job of instilling the fear into the good people.
They did.
And so, but here's the thing, Texans, I live in Texas, and we're right here. I mean, they're crossing over into our state. Okay. We're front line to it. And I will tell you that Texans and the Texans that live down at the border, they don't want this nonsense anymore. There are predominantly Hispanic. Listen, we've got Hispanic ranchers. Okay, we got Hispanic ranchers. They're tired of having to leave water and food outside their house because they don't want it to get broken into, because the coyotes are bringing people over illegally and they go through their yards. They're tired of, you live out in a ranch, you're at peace, but you hear, someone's in your yard. I mean, you gotta, it's there's no security. Okay. And there's one man, I'm gonna tell you, there's one rancher out in the southern border that said he drove up one day to his driveway, and they're long driveways, as you know, it's a ranch.
Right.
He said, I see my dogs playing with something, and he thought it was a ball, basketball. He said when he drove up, it was a decapitated head.
Oh my goodness. So
he said, okay, there's something wrong with this picture.
Absolutely.
The dogs are playing with a decapitated head. This crap needs to stop.
Absolutely.
So most Texans are for the border wall. They want that wall. That's why we voted for him. They understand that it's a national security issue. They understand that we're just trying to protect it doesn't mean that we don't want them here. Yes, they got offended, but because the media pounded all these lies in Spanish. Oh, they don't want you here. He called you all rapists and murderers. No, he did not. He said some, okay? He didn't say every single one of you coming across. But at the end of the day, I've had this conversation with many illegals who've been here, I don't know, 12, 15, 20 years. I tell them at the end of the day, you're still breaking the law by being here illegally.
Absolutely.
So you're breaking the law. I don't care whether you murdered or just crossed the border illegally. Breaking the law is breaking the law. Okay, you will be held accountable for it. What we are trying to tell you is that it's not that we don't want you here. What we're trying to tell you is we want you legally here. Now, here's always my argument with them. It's not even an argument. Here's what I tell them. Why in heaven's world would you want to come to this country, live in a sanctuary city where the politicians are basically telling you to go live under the rock, not be noticed, get taken advantage of, get paid $5 an hour, not even minimum wage, get used and abused, never have any benefits, never benefit from the true and real American dream? Why would you want that? Why did you come here for it? Did you really come here for that? So that you could just be, put in some camp? Because that's what it is. They're enslaving you. At what point in time are you going to get out of under the thumb? And when they hear me say that, they go, oh, you're right. I said, no, we don't belong to anybody. You guys have got to start thinking of this in a different way. It's not that we don't want you here. We just want you here legally. Get it done. Okay, get it done. That's all we're saying. So if the process means you have to fill out paperwork and go back to Mexico, get a stamp and come back, that's the process. Now, mind you, I do have people who are doing that right now. There's a yardman I know that had to get that done. He got his stuff in line. He got his paperwork done. He said, if I don't see you, Miss Bianca, it's because they didn't let me back in. He kind of jokes about it. And I said, you need to stop that nonsense. You've been here for so many years. You have a family here. You have a house. Come on now. And, he went, didn't have a problem, came back. And he said, well, they let me back in. I said, doesn't it feel good now that you have papers and you're legally here? And not only that, you can travel back and forth to Mexico now to visit your family. Isn't that better? And he says, you have no idea the weight off of my shoulders.
Absolutely.
That I know now that I have rights. And that is something that almost makes my eyes water, because I want to see that for all my people. Yeah. But they have to understand that they cannot continue to break the law because it's easy, because we've done nothing. We as a country have enabled them to do that. We've let them get away with that. And they cannot live like that anymore. And that to me, it's just, we're all trying to better our lives. We get it, but you got to do it legally is what I tell them. So most Texans, Chris, here, most Hispanics that I know are in favor of this wall. They don't care. They're like, whatever, we have a fence around our yard, we have a fence around our house. They understand that, hey, it's your, for safety reasons, or, just for your privacy, for crying out loud. And so they understand. And so the thing is, here in Texas, we call them, we call our Patriot Americans, we're Tejanos. That's who we are. We're Tejanos. We understand the severity of what's coming across the border. We understand because we deal with it. It's in our backyards. We understand because we have friends, we have family who are living, and we understand that there is it's a mess. Now, I'm gonna tell you, recently I spoke with a friend of mine who's Border Patrol down South Texas, and he was telling me that this was just about 2 days ago, Chris. Okay, 2 days ago. They had over 3,000 apprehensions at the border in 72 hours.
Absolutely. Wow. Unbelievable.
Okay, so what is going on right now? Because those numbers had gone down. You know, people weren't crossing. But here's the problem. The wall hasn't gone up. They haven't hired more border security. And the deportation is not being done in masses like they said. Oh, Hitler's going to come in a bus and they're going to put you all in these you're going to go to concentration camp and they're going to throw you across the border. You know, that hasn't happened.
No.
So because it hasn't happened, guess what? These people are like, we're going to keep crossing. So until we get that border wall up, until we get more troops on the ground, we let Border Patrol do their job. We get more technology. You know, we're combating the cartels here. They've told us, Border Patrol has told us, Chris, that the cartels know exactly how many Border Patrol men there are. They know where they're patrolling because they watch them. And they know that they'll send a group, 40 people, okay? They send a group in. They know they're going to get apprehended. They purposely do it. Okay, they purposely do it because there's a catch and release still going on.
Right.
Okay? They don't get deported back. It's a catch and release system going. So they bog them down. They have to take all these 30, 40 people in to process. It takes our men off the border. And guess what? The cartel knows clear entry. Let's go ahead and send our shipments in. Go ahead, because no one's watching, because we already send in a group and they're at processing right now. So there's no Border Patrol out here. So we got clear passage right here in this, parameters. And so they cross all their stuff. They said, we know it's happening. We know it's happening.
But Bianca, if they know what's happening, and again, I go back to two things. I've always had a hard time putting my head around this whole thing. In light of what we had, leadership's everything when it comes to this. We had 8 years of a president that, no matter how much he claimed that he was doing, and Napolitano, the former DHS lady, claiming that she exported more people out of this country than even Bush and Clinton and all them combined. That's crap. But the Obama administration wanted an open border. The Democrats want an open border. California's Jerry Brown wants an open border.
Mm-hmm.
The AG at California, his name escapes me, Garcia or whatever, he wants an open border.
Mm-hmm.
When we allow citizens to come in across our border like that, you know what? We're the only nation in the freaking universe that does that crap.
Yeah.
If me and you went down across the border to Mexico, and you were showing me around Mexico, or you knew some places to go, and we looked at each other and said, hey, this is great. You know something? We're just going to stay here and enjoy Mexico for the rest of our lives. If they found us without a passport or without a Mexican citizenship thing, you know what, Bianca? Asses are going back to America in a box. And in some days, if you do that stuff, you get killed.
Or you'll be thrown in jail and no one will ever see you again. And you have no rights. There's no right to a phone call and a right to an attorney and a court date. Okay, you get none. You're lucky if they come and see you or let anybody even find you. So you're exactly right. Their laws are stricter than our laws. And most countries, if you read their entry laws, they are stricter than American laws. So I'm like, guys, this has to happen.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, we have to do something to get this under control. I don't care what these Democrats, and you're right, listen, Democrats are doing it because they know that they're allowing these illegals to vote.
Vote, exactly right. It's all
and
about
all they do is just and put them in a plantation, cheap labor, and allow them to vote, because In some states, if you get a driver's license and they allow you to get a driver's license, even if you're illegal.
Yeah.
So they allow you to go vote because you have a driver's license.
Right.
So I'm like, there's problems. Okay. There's some serious issues. We got to find solutions. And our president is really trying to find solutions. I think at the end of the day, all these little DACA brats that were up there marching, not my president. Oh my God, that drove me nuts. I was like, you're right. You know what? You're here illegally. He is not your president.
That's right. Your president is Nieto. What is his name? Pianto Nieto. That's your president.
Nieto, whatever his name. Well, now it's like the other guy, some other new guy that they voted in. So,
they got that other guy. Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm like, you're right. He's not your president. You're exactly right. Now,
point.
You're lucky that that we're not getting a bus and just deporting you now. Like you don't demand things from the country. You don't come out here and say we owe you anything. We don't owe you anything. You'll be lucky if we want to work with you to do something.
That's right.
That's right. Change your messaging. And I think there were some DACA kids I spoke with, and when I would tell them that, Chris, I think it was just, if you tell them that, they think about it and they go, oh, you're right. I'm like, yeah, it's not very smart of you, because there's not one American around here that's going to drop what they're doing to try to help you, because you don't demand crap around here. You don't demand anything. None of us. I'm a citizen. I don't go running around telling the government I demand anything to happen. I mean, we can ask for things. We can protest for things. We can counter protest for things. We can go peacefully march for things because we have that freedom to do so. But we don't go around demanding things and presto, it's going to happen. So I'm like, why would it be any different for you? Your messaging, this is what I told DACA kids. Your messaging should be, we love this country so much. It wasn't our fault. Our parents made errors, but we don't want to pay the price. What can we do? What can we do? Anybody help us? Will you all help us? Just tell us what to do. Tell us what to do, the right way, the legal way. Can we sit down with someone? Can we talk about solutions? We don't want to go back to a country we don't know. Is there anybody just willing to sit down with us and draw up, some kind of solutions? Help us. That's all we're asking. Help us. I think, who in their right mind do you know, Chris? Come on. Who do you know? What American wouldn't be like, you know what? We need to help those people.
Absolutely.
We need to help those people, because they're not technically at fault, but they're still illegal. I mean, there's a lot going around, but I'm like, but don't come marching at Capitol Hill demanding, we're not going anywhere, deport Trump, not my president, calling him all kinds of hateful names. Well, you know what? I'm like calling the White House, not the White House, but I'm calling my, senators or congressmen, and I'm like, no amnesty, no citizenship. Because I don't want to help you.
Exactly.
I think you're brats, you're illegal, you don't want to admit what's going on here, and you're going to demand things from our country? No. So until you change your messaging, maybe I'll come and sit down and say, okay, now let's work together. Now let's figure out how it is that we can help you, because you really truly love this country, because you want to contribute, because you do want to have a good job and you want to pay taxes like the rest of us. You want that American dream. Let us know how much you want it. Don't demand it, and don't tell us we owe you citizenship. We don't owe you anything. So I think that at the end of the day, there were some that sat and they said, you know what, we agree with you. And then they sat there and they said, so tell us what to do. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I don't know. Let's see. I guess we got to talk to people, But that's, and I said, what you do right now is you tell the rest of your DACA people that you're friends with, is to stop marching and doing these dumb things, because it's not going to want to help. It's not going to want us to help you. So, that's what you start doing right now. Change your messaging and make it more productive, so that Americans can want to help you. That they will want to see a solution for y'all. No one's trying to deport y'all. The Democrat Party has done a very good job of telling you that we're going to go pick you up in a bus and deport you. Even if you're 5 years old, 2 years old, that we don't care. We're just horrible, horrific Americans who can't stand Mexicans. Okay, that's not going to happen. So I think at the end of the day, things have settled. I don't see them marching so much anymore, demanding things. I really don't. I'm sure that there's some of them out there still, radicals, but for the most part, I think it's calmed down in our Hispanic communities because they see that there's not a Hitler bus coming down the street picking you up to deport you. Okay. Right. But we really do got to do something. We got to get this wall built. We got to get the wall built. We got to send reinforcements. We got to hire more people for the Border Patrol. We have got to get this under control, Chris. At the end of the day,
we do.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. So. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say this. You mentioned the compassion issue, and that is the way that the left uses as a hammer against conservatives. Because again, those things you just mentioned. Let me tell you something. That's the most common sense I think I've heard from anybody. Even politicians don't get what you just said. And the DACA kids. Look, it is offensive to me as an American citizen to watch these people march and demand anything, because until you become a legal citizen, your conversation is null and void to me. Until you become a citizen, exactly. Your argument you're being mistreated, it's null and void. Because
null and void.
We do not want to see anybody mistreated and separated from their families. But let me tell you something. We, the American people, are not the ones that brought you here illegally to begin with.
Correct.
And a lot of these kids, Bianca, the facts will bear this out, and statistics will bear this out. Even these kids that came into the country at 5, 6, 7, they grow up in our culture. And the countries that they came from were, for the most part, lawless nations in the sense that they were very crime-ridden. The police and the law enforcement agencies were very weak in enforcing crime. And they grow up in these lawless cultures, and they come across our border in America, and they look around, and America's not enforcing its laws. So they think, we're just going to come in and we'll just fit right in because, hell, America's not enforcing their laws either.
Correct.
And then they commit a serious crime when they're in their teens or their early 20s. And everybody is just so aghast about it when they find out that this kid came in when he was 5 or 6. Well, guess what? When you come in as an illegal, there's a pretty decent chance that your behavior is going to continue that until you correct it. And you mentioned the respect thing, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody do that till tonight. And I'm just so proud of what you said, because, Bianca, it's not just their respect, but, we as self-respect's important, but when you respect something, I've always heard somebody say this one time. They said, it's just like money. If you respect money, money's going to respect you. If you respect your parents, the Lord is promised to bless you with long life. Respect of authority is always a God-given spiritual principle that when you do it, you benefit.
Yes.
And if you respect America and you invest in America, guess what? America is going to invest in you.
That's right. That's right.
We miss that idea. We don't talk about that with these people because we're scared to. Because if you say that, then that again is a bigoted, racist remark with the media. And I'm glad we talked about this tonight, because there's got to come ahead of this, and the only way it's going to be done is through two things, I believe. We've got to get a Congress that's working. President Trump has issued so many executive orders that are going to be great while he's in office. But the day that he leaves, if we get a liberal in office, and I know people are saying, well, that won't happen again. Don't underestimate the stupidity.
Never underestimate. Yep.
Because people, this populace and this voting bloc of America is so fickle and so unfaithful to their duties as citizens. Look, I don't trust anything right now. I hope President Trump could stay in office for 50 years. But the reality of it is he won't, Bianca. And a lot of these executive orders that he signed fixing this problem can be undone just like that.
Yes.
Congress has got to step in and codify that executive order into law. And that way it becomes a little harder for the left to unravel the things that President Trump has done.
Correct.
And I'll say this and I'll give it back to you. They're trying to run up the clock on the wall because this funding has been stalled. And look, I would be raising holy freaking hell if I'm President Trump and saying, give me the damn money for the wall I asked for you 2 years ago.
Right.
They require Ryan being gone, and I'm not a big fan of Paul Ryan. I'm glad to see that his tenure is months away from ending.
That's right.
A speaker in the House that's got some guts and some gusto and to do what's right by our president. but Congress has got to do its job. This is something that can't be fixed by just him, Bianca. It's got to be Congress, and also have a judiciary that's not going to overturn these things every time somebody whines about a driver's license being a burden on somebody to go vote, and some judge says, yeah, you don't have to show a license. That's all demonic to me, and that's all evil. You've got to have our government working together to fix this problem, not just the president.
I agree. And that was one of the things that I brought up to some of these DACA kids and some of these, people. I said, here's the deal. You guys, you have to understand that what was done with a DACA, giving you permission to be here, work permits, whatever you were given, what happened is Trump ripped the Band-Aid off that Obama did, because nobody wanted to take the responsibility to do a good reform for immigration. So they just slapped another, a Band-Aid on it instead of fixing the problem. So, that's the thing is I said, he ripped off the Band-Aid and all of a sudden y'all are in uproar. He's a Nazi, he hates Mexicans and he hates the Latinos and he hates Venezuela, and so, and it's like, first of all, you have to understand, which they're not teaching you in school, that you're exactly right. There is a Congress that needs to make the law. So what you need to be focusing on is working with those congressmen and holding them accountable. And one of the things you should be working on, because majority of you live in a Democrat area, so you need to be calling that Democrat and telling them, if you don't pass those laws, we're voting you out. We put you on notice. At this point, we do not care if you're Republican or Democrat. You either going to fix and give us, fix the problems, give us some solutions, or we are going to vote you out. If you start calling their offices and telling them that, I don't care what party you're in, okay? If you call their offices and you start telling them that, listen, House bill, whatever, it sounds like a great, you got to start promoting that the Congress gets to work and makes good laws. You're exactly right. That's what I tell them. You cannot expect, the president we're not in a dictatorship here, and we don't live in the monarch system where it's like the king rules and that's it and nobody else has a say so. Okay, there's 3 branches that work together. Okay, and so you're exactly right. Getting that government to work together is very important. And so, listen, there's got to be a balance.
Yes. There's
got to be a balance in there. So, what if we voted all Republicans in, it would be no balance.
I'll agree.
Okay. But you got to get some common sense, smart, hardworking people in there that are going to go in there and defy the system to produce results. If not, you're going to get voted out. And because we've been so complacent as a country, because the Americans are not doing their civic duty, we keep voting in these same people over and over, and they're doing nothing.
So okay.
I don't know what they're doing. They're just lining their pockets. They're just, enjoying the title. I don't know. They've gone complacent themselves. They need to be voted out and been like, you know what? We've had enough of you. 30 years, you're gone. 20 years, you're gone. Let's get some fresh meat in there. And if they don't do their job and they don't get it done, we're voting them out. Period. Absolutely. Done. We should be the term limits. Why? This is the thing. There should be term limits. I think it's a sad day in America when we have to make a law to tell people you're going to get, you're no longer, after 4 years, you're done. As Americans, we have the power to vote them out.
Yes.
That is the term limit. We should be the term limit. If the person isn't producing, vote them out. At a job, any other job, you and I know, if you went and worked for corporate America, if you're not producing, Chris, you're going to get a pink slip. You're going to get fired if you're not producing. So we're just as much at fault as Americans, because we've been complacent, we've been sleeping, thinking that it doesn't affect us. At some point in time, brother, it does. It affects us along the way, one way or another.
My friend, we got about 10 minutes. I want to change gears more. We could stay on that all night. That's good stuff. And I think that you are a vital voice in this fight, Bianca, and I really appreciate your candidness. And when we have you back on next time, we'll pick that theme up. But I want to go
Sure.
something else because I want to get your take on it. The other big story that is circulating around D.C. this week, of course, is the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation, and this thing has turned into this tawdry, ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know the word for it right now, but it's just made me sick to my stomach watching the character assassination of a good man. To be brutally honest with you, I don't know what kind of justice Brett Kavanaugh is going to be. You look at John Roberts, you look at Alito, you look at Scalia, the late Scalia, you look at some other justices that the Republicans have put on the bench, Clarence Thomas. For the most part, they made the right call. But look, John Roberts to this day will have the Obama noose around his legacy that he's the one that protected that hideous law.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know. My point in that is that you don't know what kind of justice you're going to get until they sit on that bench and start ruling.
Yeah.
But the personal stuff is beyond the pale. And what has happened with these accusations and so forth. And look, I'm going to ask you this. You're a woman. You've listened to this accuser, both of them, both Ford and this other Ramirez lady who's come forth. And I don't want to get into tawdry details. Everybody knows what they are. Ford claims that Kavanaugh, when he was 17 years old, attempted to rape her in a party one night. And, 4 other people have come forth and said they don't remember the party. This sketchy Ramirez comes out, some college situation at Yale, and he rubbed his male part against her or flashed it and all sorts of sordid details. But the bad thing about this is that the stories, let's just forget the accuser's part, but I'm talking about just from your perspective and looking at what they're doing to Brett Kavanaugh. How do you see it from your perch, and what's your thoughts on this? Because I just think it stinks. It's politics at its worst. You got a man that's got a family. He's got 2 daughters, Bianca. They've got to listen to this stuff about their daddy every day. The wife, I saw the interview of Martha McCallum last night, when we were recording this on Wednesday, it was Monday night. And, he didn't come across as a guy that would do something like this. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give it to you. Behavior like that when you're a teenager, usually if you're like that in high school, not every case is the same. There are exceptions. But for the most part, that behavior follows you into your adulthood. Yes. And I'm going to give you a great example of somebody, and that's Bill Clinton.
Once a player, always a player, Chris.
Sort of. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the thing is that situation, Bill Clinton, I'll use Bill as an example. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton exhibited sexual predatorness early on in his political life and early on in his personal life. He's been doing this for decades. Yep. But he established a pattern when he was younger, and that never changed. Brett Kavanaugh's being accused of something that people have made him out to be, that he's been like this his whole life, Bianca, and there's not a shred of evidence this guy's done anything wrong. But the innuendo and the accusation has been enough to impugn him and make him guilty in the eyes of so many, wrongly so. How do you see all this? I think it stinks, and I think that somebody needs to pay for the damage that this has caused this man. He may ultimately get approved in the judiciary, which he needs to be. Mm-hmm. But the damage is still done because there's always going to be this cloud over his head on that bench. Mm-hmm. And these ladies supposedly were accosted by him.
So I have, I'm never going to say I don't approve or, acknowledge or accept that any wrongdoing is done to a woman. No is no. We all get that.
Exactly.
Growing up in your high school, teenage years, my goodness, I honestly, not one soul can walk around this planet Earth saying they never did anything stupid. Okay, made a bad decision. You're not thinking when you're 10 years old, 12 years old, 14, 17, 18, 20. You're not thinking. You're living life, and your parents are still paying your bills, and you're living carefree and you're having fun. So who freaking cares? I don't care what he did when he was 17 just no more than when CNN asked me, you know, you don't care what Trump, listen, I don't care what he did and what he called a woman or what he said about a woman's part. I don't care. I care about his policies, what he's doing, and he's delivering, and he's taking care of business. That's what I care about. What he did in his bedroom is none of my business, okay? There's our creator who will judge him. He will pay for those things. I am not the judge here. I am not God, and I'm not going to go around pretending to be, okay? It's not going to happen. So here's the deal. What I don't like about this whole, you know, stuff is that these women are coming out and they're claiming these things. You know, I'm not buying it. Honestly, there's people out there, oh, I feel so sorry. No, I don't. I don't feel sorry for the girl. I don't feel sorry for the girl because if it really bothers you, if you knew that something had been done to you that you didn't like, the man had been appointed to what, Court of Appeals?
So, yeah, 6 times they've investigated him. 6 times.
So he's been appointed to so many other different things. You knew he went to law school. You knew that he became successful. Why in God's earth would you have not said something before? Say that man, I think he needs to be held accountable as you're considering him for these positions from the get-go. Okay, you should have had a little bit more balls to come out and say that. But you don't wait till 40 years later to say, oh, by the way, yeah, he's the one that did something to me at a party. Well, first of all, why were you at the party? What were you doing? Where were your parents? Did your parents know that you were at the party? Did you go home and tell your parents that a man tried to rape you or a guy tried to rape you or that he showed you his private part? Did you go and share this information with any of your girlfriends? Because, you know, the girlfriends all talk. The girls talk, okay? There's nothing. Men are not going to talk, but girls do. So nobody knew? I mean, did you not tell anybody that this happened to you? All of a sudden, 40 years later, I'm not buying it, Chris. I don't even feel sorry for them. I really don't. Because you are accountable. I don't care what age you are. If you're not thinking in the right mind or whatever, you're still accountable for those things. So even me, if I can think back about some dumb stuff I did or somebody else did, it's so long ago, I'm still a responsible party as well. And if I didn't say something back then, it obviously wasn't that important, was it? So all of a sudden you're going to attack a man who is now devoted his life to, I mean, the man has an impeccable record, not to mention he's a coach with what his daughter's basketball
team. Yeah.
I mean,
that came up too.
He serves, he serves at the food pantry. I mean, who cares what he did when he was 17? I care about that he cares about the Constitution. He's upheld the law. He makes good, sound decisions. He doesn't take things personal. And he's still giving back to the community. He's a humble man who is still doesn't forget where he came from and is still giving back to the community. Not because, oh, it's going to make me look better, but because he truly cares. Or he wouldn't, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go stand and feed a food pantry or, you know, hand out food if I don't really, if I'm not feeling it, I don't have a passion for it, Chris, you're not going to find me going and devoting and volunteering 4 hours of my time. I'll find something else that I'm passionate about. But the man is passionate about those things. Okay. So I don't honestly feel sorry for these women. They should have spoken up sooner. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit harder, you know, they should have spoken up sooner. I mean, I'm not going to go back and think about somebody in high school and say, well, he did. I should have said something back then. Really, if it really bothered me or it was a bad thing or whatever. You know what? People do all kinds of dumb stuff. You know, the thing is, if you've grown, if you've matured, if you become a responsible citizen, you can't be held, you know, those clouds, you know, shouldn't be hovering over you because our God is a very forgiving and merciful God.
Yes, he is.
So he is the only one that's going to truly judge us for what we have done, for what we didn't do. You know, we were complacent. You know, he is going to be the true judge. So I think that it's a very sad day in America that, you know, but this is what it is, Chris. It displays what the Democrat Party has become.
Absolutely.
Which is why as a Democrat, growing up Democrat, not because I knew that I was a Democrat, but because my mother told us we were Democrats because we were Hispanic, and that's how we voted, because we were Hispanic, because Democrats were for the working class. That was back in Kennedy days. Okay. But when was it? When Obama first ran, my mother said, the Democrat Party has left us. We can no longer vote Democrat. My mother was 60 something years old.
Wow.
Voted Democrats and she was 18. So, you know, this is what the Democrat Party has become. And they're a double standard, because you know that there's representatives, senators, and all these other people in office that have done things to women. For crying out loud, there's a hedge fund that's paying off women who claim they've been sexually harassed
In Congress.
with our money.
Absolutely.
In Congress.
Absolutely.
And now you want to all of a sudden play nice and like you're holier than thou and can place that judgment on someone else for an accusation that is what, almost 40 years old?
I know.
But your accusations were just last year, and a girl was paid off $80,000 because you sexually harassed her, you know, at work.
So true.
I'm sorry, but you don't have any business, none of those congressmen, senators, they have no business judging when they themselves are guilty of the same thing. No business. Look at the man for his credentials, his experience, the way he's ruled, the service that he's done. Look at him for who he is in the past 10, 20 years as he's been building his career, and you judge him on those things. If he doesn't meet mustard with the way he's been judging on cases, then you judge him on that, and you say, well, he's really not, you know, it doesn't really have the experience, to be honest, or, you know, I don't think he's a good candidate for this. But obviously he is. I mean, obviously our president asked for a list of names of the people who had the utmost respect for the law and were sitting there, who have a good track record of how they rule on the bench. Okay.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't have appointed somebody because of something. I'm tired of the left coming up with this locker room accusations from 20, 30, 40 years ago. Get over it. Find something else to do, because number one, you have no agenda anymore. You have nothing to offer. You are losing left and right, and you still don't get it. So the only thing you can come up with is throw meaningful accusations like you did to our president and hope and pray that maybe something will stick. Well, you know what? The American people are fed up, Chris. And a lot of us have woken up and we're paying attention to things that we normally didn't used to pay attention to. And we are paying attention. And those things we are taking notice. And let me tell you something. There is a lot, the walkaway campaign, it's a real deal. It's a real deal. Okay. Those people literally have said, oh my, I don't want to be associated with that. Walk away. I mean, literally, there is a lot of people in our communities, in our Hispanic communities, that are just as about fed up with all of the rhetoric. They're tired of it. They don't even want to listen to it anymore. It's gotten so bad that they're like, we don't even care to go vote. I'm like, no, you have to, or it's going to come back and bite you, and you're going to continue to be in the same circle. So you need to go and exercise your right to vote. Absolutely. You know, you have to. And that's the thing, is that people are becoming so tired of it. It's the same stuff. I'm like, do y'all have anything else to stand on as a Democrat Party anymore? Because you know, there's no common sense policy out there that you're, you know, promoting. There's nothing that you're saying you're going to do other than what? Impeach my president, roll back everything that he's passed, you know, tax us more, regulate us more, you know, kill more babies with abortions. You know, what that's what they're offering. I mean, seriously, at the end of the day, that's what they're offering. And the double standard, you know, hey, oh, they did this. Oh, we can't believe Trump said this in the bus with a guy about how he's going to touch a girl's body part. I'm like, give me a freaking break. Police officers and our armed servicemen speak worse than that.
That is true, Bianca.
Seriously.
On that note, we are going to bring this to a close. I hate, man, this hour has gone by so fast.
I talk too much, Chris.
No. I like it. I've been sitting here amening you under my breath. I've been saying amen, amen, amen. Preach it, sister. No, seriously, hon, great stuff tonight. And we are so happy to have you on this inaugural time. Me and you have, as I said, we've been trying to do this for a while, but we finally got it done. And I'm so happy to have you tonight on the Mac Files, Bianca. I think everything you said is great. And we're going to have you back on again very, very soon. Trust me, there's a lot more to talk about. I want to give Bianca's website again, megainfo.tv. She's part of that group. They're just doing a tremendous work for the mega community, for President Trump, and Bianca's a voice in the Hispanic community as well. They're in Houston, along really across the whole nation right now, and we appreciate what she's doing and her work. And we are going to again do this again, the Cry and Buy show.
The Cry and Buy show.
The Cry and Buy show.
Bianca, the Cry Buy or the Buy Cry, okay? It's one or the other. We're just can flip it. Hey, how do you?
Oh, my Lord. Only in East Tennessee. I've got some people in East Tennessee. They're on suicide watch now that there's a Cry and Buy show coming out of the hills of East Tennessee. But that's all right. People have suicide watch on my show all the time.
Listen, oh my goodness. Listen, thank you so much for everything you do, Chris, because you put out some good information there. I've been watching your shows, and there is some stuff that even I didn't know. And so some of your guests, obviously have some good information, good intel, and it's good to know. It's good to network. So yeah, and I am also working with Veterans Network Television. I was talking to you about this earlier.
Right.
They'll be launching soon. So there's going to be help for our veterans. That's a really soft heart. They've got a soft place in my heart because I have a family full of veterans. So it's very personal to me. So that is another group I work with. But yes, please follow anybody out there. Follow our pages, Latinos for Trump. A lot of our people really stick their neck out and do a lot of things. We're consistently combating the left because they're in a resistance mode. The day that they lose the Hispanics, Chris, they know it's all over. That's about all they have left. Because the black people have woken up. Listen, the black people are getting jobs. Their inner cities are getting fixed. They got programs coming out of HUD. They got all kinds of stuff going on for them. So they're waking up. So that's the only thing that the Democrats are, I think they have all these like crazy progressive people, but if they lose that Hispanic vote, they're pretty much done as a party, and they know it.
Absolutely.
So they keep, it's really, they fight us. They really fight us. They really do. But Chris, sometimes what my experience has been is that it's funny that they don't come after me as hard, because it's kind of hard to come after the Hispanic female Christian mother that is saying something.
That's true.
So
that's a good point.
They don't really know how to take me, when they're like, oh, okay, well, right. We don't like her anymore, but
that is true.
But they don't really fight me a whole lot. Maybe behind my back they do, but they don't see it coming, because in our communities, our Hispanic people are told, oh, the Republicans are for the white people. So when they see the Hispanic person say, no, I'm conservative, I'm Republican, you kind of defy that whole theory. So, but listen, yes, I just tell your audience, please follow us. We always bring a lot of good information. Some of our state directors report from the border. They bring light to things that are going on, and so it's a good thing. We're here to serve, Chris. That's what we do.
Next time we get you on, friend, we'll talk about the Veterans Network more the next time. Absolutely. We'll do that. Absolutely. Guys, you've been listening to Bianca Garcia, a colleague of mine, a dear friend of mine out in Houston, Texas, and again, part of the megainfo.tv. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation with her tonight. I sure have. There's been a lot of energy in this, and I believe it's been an encouragement to a lot of you out there as well. God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless this great nation of America. Folks, there's a PayPal button on my profile on Twitter at ChrisMac44. Your donations keep the Mac Files growing, and we appreciate your help, both financially, but we appreciate you being part of this show with support that you give us every day through your emails, your direct messages, and so forth. And we do appreciate you out there in the Mac Files audience. Got a great lineup coming up in the days to come, stay with us right here at the Mac Files every night. Same bat time, same bat channel, 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday on Periscope, 8:30 to 9:30 on Facebook Live. And we will enjoy seeing you there. Always connect. Bianca, salute, my friend. God bless you, my friend.
Thank
I'll
you.
be back on soon. God bless you guys. Have
Yes,
a good night,
thank you,
everybody.
Chris. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. That makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and the ink stains that have dried up on some lines. Keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. Keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy planted on the columns now that binds me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. It's just knowing that the world will not be cursing nor forgiving when I walk along some railroad track and find moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and for hours you're just gentle on my mind. But I dip my cup of soup back from the gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My bed, a roughened coal pile, and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Cupped hands round a tin can, I pretend I'll hold you to my breast and find that you're waving from the black road by the river of my memory, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind.